Choice is hard. People don't like choice. There's a really wonderful woman whose name I can't pronounce, but she wrote a book called The Art of Choice. And she talked a lot about how choice is hard. And in this climate, we are sitting in this room and in rooms in our offices every day making choices about how we talk to our buyers, right? And I don't know, I speak at a lot of conferences and they want a title, and I just, on a whim, labeled this "Stop Making Stuff Up." And I think part of that is to try to bring people to the awareness that this is what we're doing. Now, buyer personas are supposed to help us solve this problem, right? And that's what you've heard. Now, is that why you came to this session? Because buyer personas are supposed to help us stop making stuff up. And we're supposed to build personas, and then we'll know how to target our content to them. Is that working? Not so well. Let's have a look. So a lot of people will tell you that this is 3 different buyer personas. Is it? Did someone say no? Yes, sir. Said no. Anybody disagree? Is this 3 different buyer personas? How many personas is it? Many more than that. Could be many more than that. Any other answers? Could be 1 persona. Exactly. How do we know? Now, do I have any people in the room? I'm just checking. I come from 30 years in technology industry, B2B marketing. Do we have any consumer marketers in here? Okay. So whether I happen to put labels on this and submitted these slides a month ago and thought, in another presentation, I have one just behind it that takes these same people, same images, and identifies them based on their consumer persona. You guys realize these guys are all consumers too, right? They all consume, they all buy their own products for their own consumption. And we could put things associated with that around how many kids they have and whether they're married or not married, and maybe what their income is. Do you guys think their income's probably a little different, one from the other? Probably, yeah. So we could guess about all of that. And this is what's happening around buyer personas. As a matter of fact, there's an awful lot of information out there. If you go out and Google buyer personas, you'll find ebooks, blog posts, infographics, tons and tons of guidance suggesting that this is how you build buyer personas. Take your buyer, identify their personal characteristics, identify their goals and strategies, put a picture and a name associated with them, and that's your persona. And then what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to identify maybe, we have 4 different market segments we're going in. I'll stay with B2B for a second. We're doing business in 4 vertical markets, or 4 parts of the world, or 4 different sizes of companies. And so we can do the math here. Let's say that really was 3 buyer personas. And then we've got 4 market segments. Now we're up to 12, right? And then what we do is we multiply that times steps in the buyer's journey. And I can't do the math that high. It's too hard for me. But it's a big honkin' number, right? A big honkin' number. And it's making me crazy. Because this is not what we mean when we build buyer personas. So the purpose of the buyer persona is to understand what would impress your buyers. In session after session today, I just caught a little bit of Mitch Joel's session before I came in here on the future of content strategy. We're hearing over and over again that our goal is to be effective, to build a strategy that will impress our buyers, right? Because the audience isn't listening. McKinsey says we live in an age of continuous partial attention. Getting all of you to pay attention to me, how many of you are giving me your full attention right this minute? Okay, that's about right. Maybe a third. The other 2/3 are multitasking, right? Now, isn't that what you do at work all day? Isn't that what you do when you're out buying something for your own consumption? Do you think your buyers are different? They are not paying attention. Getting their attention, getting and holding their attention is the hardest thing we do as marketers, and we're sitting in rooms and making this stuff up. And you know what happens, at least in my career, because I ran technology industry marketing for a little over 10 years as a VP of sales, VP of marketing, VP of product marketing, 3 different tech companies. I've worked in agencies. I've owned my own agency. For the last 15 years, I've been doing consulting and training. Inevitably, if we sit and make something up, somebody else somewhere in the company is going to make something different up, right? And then what happens? Revisions. Part of that whole I just caught the very end of the lady's presentation right before me. And, you know, cycles and cycles and cycles of edits and revisions, trying to get this stuff right by whose estimation? Right according to whom? Right according to the people in your company, the people in product management, the people in senior management. I had a slide up here a few years ago that had a HIPPO on it. Have you guys ever heard of HIPPO, marketing by HIPPO? HIPPO is an acronym. It stands for Highly Paid Person's Opinion. We're all sitting around in rooms making stuff up, and the buyers are not impressed. And here's what's happening. Now, this study is a study that Gartner released just a little while ago. It hasn't got much attention. Absolutely freaked me out when I saw this. Buyers are spending only 32% of their buyer's journey interacting with our content and our salespeople. So we finally see it here in black and white. I know we've seen all these numbers about how far along buyers are on the journey. You know what? That's not it. Buyers are in and out of their interactions with us through various stages of their journey. But what are they doing the other 68% of the time? That's when they're forming their total opinion about where they're going to do business, who they're going to choose, what they're going to buy. And it's not because of anything we said or did.